Hi. Back in 1982-83, when my interest in computers started, one machine I didn't think of was the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A. None of my friends had one, and there even was no shop which had it on presentation near to me. And it was quite expensive in Germany too. In early 1983 I had the money to buy my first own computer, and then the Commodore 64 and the Sinclair ZX Spectrum were much more popular. And also in the vintage computer scene in Germany the machine is quite rare. You don't get to see it very often on meetings. 2 years ago a friend of mine took his TI-99 to a local meeting, and that was my first real contact with the machine. And I was quite impressed. The games weren't too bad. All the great hits from the early 80s were there. Audio and graphics were quite good. So in the beginning of 2020 I thought, why not get my own TI-99? I studied classified ads and finally found this one. Just a bit later on, as it so goes, this happened. And this. So I guess it's time to check out the three machines and see if they are working and what comes with it. The machines came each with its own PAL Rf Modulator. Then there were these three power supply units, a cartridge-based game, and a cable to connect a tape recorder. Let's start testing all three machines. So let's take a closer look at these machines. This is the first one I've got. There's a very nice clicky keyboard. There's a cartridge slot where you put in your games cartridges. So, looking at this side, there's an edge connector, mainly for connecting the 32K RAM expansion that I don't have. And on the back, this is the tape input, DB9, PSU connector, monitor output. On PAL machines, this is 6-pin monitor output, and it is a very strange component signal, so you definitely need the RF modulator to get RF out or to mod it for composite. And on this side there's the joystick socket, DB9, but it's not Atari standard compatible, so you have to use an adapter. I'm going to test the output of all three transformers. So as you can see in the schematics, only this part is the external part of the PSU, the transformer. It outputs AC voltage, and everything else, including the bridge rectifier, is inside the machine. And these are the voltages we are looking for. 16 volt AC and 8 volt AC. Pin 4 is the common pin, pin 2 is the 8 volt output, pin 3 is the 16 volt output. So don't forget, the multimeter has to be set to voltage AC, not DC, so AC it is. And now we should have eight volts here. It reads 9.5. That's okay without load. And 20.1, also okay without load. Nine point five, 20.2. Nine point five, 20.2. So all three transformers seem to be okay. So we are going to test the first TI. And power. Bingo! So what about the cartridge? Yes, and there it is. You select the cartridge. And that's also working. Yes, looks okay. This is the second machine, and as you can see, there's some sticker residue, so there has been something glued on top of the machine. So we switch it on. Oh yes. Works. Cartridge test. Nice, also working. Next. And finally on the third machine you can see there are still some stickers, so the previous owner thought, well, why should I look into the manual? I could also make some stickers and apply the color codes to the machine and some basic commands. Power. Yay! Try something different. Thumbs up. Oh, the cartridge test, I forgot. Yay, looking good. Okay, we have 3 working machines. Yep. So this is it. Or is it? There's one thing I like to do, and that is a composite mod on one of the Rf modulators. With RF, the picture is quite noisy and blurry. You should be able to get a better picture, but that's a bit complicated on PAL machines. As I said earlier, the monitor output only has a component signal. You need the RF modulator to get anything other out of it. Let's take a look inside this RF modulator. So it's metal, gets the power from the computer, and there are two screws. And you will recognize this. This is an Aztec third-party made RF modulator fitted to the board that TI made. Let's take a closer look. There's some logic in there. And the RF modulator. And there's the output socket. And the PCB is soldered to the case. First I'm trying to get off the strain relief of this cable. Yeah. Keep this aside, don't lose it. Okay, trying to get it out. First add some fresh solder. Oh, we have to turn up the heat. And there we have it. The bare PCB. Now we can take a closer look. I thought about what to do next and looked up some popular solutions in the net. There are mainly two versions that I like to discuss with you. So this is the first version. Here you can see the 4 inputs 1, 2, 3, 4 of the modulator, and it suggests to take the center wire of the video cable to pin 4 and connect the shield to pin 3. And then you take the audio from the yellow cable. The yellow cable comes from the monitor plug and is directly connected to the audio output of the TI, and that is a proper signal. But what are these 4 input pins on the modulator for? This is a look into the service manual of the Aztec UM1286 modulator, and here you can see the numbering is in the other direction from the picture you saw before, but you can see the pin where the video center wire should connect is composite video input. That sounds okay, but the pin where the shield should connect, pin 2, is supply voltage, so it's plus 5 volt. This means your ground level on the signal would be plus 5 volt. Not a good idea, I think. And as you remember, the audio wire should be taken from the yellow cable, and the audio ground, I guess the audio ground should be referenced to the shield wire, because audio ground and video ground in the TV set would be connected together. So this is 5 volts. Why the audio that's coming from the monitor jack of the TI should be referenced to system ground. Here's the second version of the composite mod. This is in French, but that doesn't matter. You can see what you need to know on the pictures. The modulator is numbered in the orientation that it was numbered in the service manual we saw earlier. So pin 1, this should be the composite video input. Pin 2, this should be plus 5 volt. And now they suggest you take a transistor, a BC547, that's an NPN general purpose transistor you can get everywhere, and you connect 5 volt to its base, the composite input signal to its collector, and on the emitter you get the video output, and you have 100 to 120 ohms resistor to ground. And here you can see the video ground is connected to the system ground. That looks much better, and I would think that this would work with the audio from the yellow cable too. This is what I came up with. I made a small PCB with an RCA connector and a 3.5 millimeter audio connector, and I will put it into the case where the RF output of the modulator was. Like this. Time to get the soldering done. First I connect the base and the collector of the transistor to the 2 wires you saw. And there's a nice ground plane near to the modulator can where I connect the end of the resistor. Then I solder the wires for the video to the small PCB I made. Let's hook it up to the amplifier circuit. Still without audio, but time to test if the transistor I chose works. Success! Great! Now for the audio connection. I connect the cable on the underside of the PCB. I have already glued it to the PCB and installed it in the case. Time to close the case up and do some testing. Yes, it's working great. I'm playing some chess now. Bye.